How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the 100 pastors that signed an open letter saying that Kelly Loeffler is attacking the black church indirectly by attacking her political opponent down there in the Georgia Senate race, Raphael Warnock, because he's black and he's a reverend, and his values, talking about abortion maybe being okay, talking about if you're in the military, you can't really be a Christian. I guess those things are black Christian values, and we got to protect them. And if you attack him for that, then that means you're a racist. That's basically what I'm getting from the letter. Now, before I go any further, before I go down the rabbit hole, I got to back up a little bit here to give you some context, just so we're on the same page with each other, and so you may understand where the letter came from, okay? It might not just be, oh, we got to defend our friend Raphael. There may be a lot more to it that's not really just seen by everybody. It's kind of like under the surface. Now, the Senate race in Georgia is very important because you have Loeffler versus Warnock and also Perdue versus Ossoff. If Democrats take both seats, then they control the Senate outright. If Republicans take both seats, then they control the Senate outright. If there's a split, meaning Democrats, they win one, Republicans, they win one, then there's going to be a virtual tie in the U.S. Senate, all right? And the reason why I say virtual is because you have 50 seats on the Republican side, but 48 seats on the Democratic side. But see, then you're going to also have two independents, quote unquote independents, Bernie Sanders and Angus King, that always vote Democrat. So you have a virtual tie. If Joe Biden becomes a president, he becomes inaugurated, Kamala Harris would be the vice president of the U.S., and the vice president of the U.S. is the president of the Senate, so she'll be the tiebreaker. So let's say you got a Supreme Court justice nomination. All Democrats vote for it, and also the independents, they vote with the Democrats. All Republicans vote against it. You have a tie. Kamala Harris would be all you need to confirm them. And that's a lifelong appointment. So the race down there is extremely important. And you got all kind of monies flowing from all over the country, maybe even all over the world, to influence the election, all right, to promote either side. And you got all kind of smears that are going around. They're talking about Kelly Loeffler and quote unquote insider trading, which was a lie. That wasn't even real. She has a blind trust. So even if she had some kind of meeting about the virus, and after the meeting, there were certain things done with her stock portfolio, that's not her fault because she's not in control of that. There's a blind trust, meaning she does not make any transactions on that. It's a company that handles it for her. Okay, it's like having a 401k. If you got a 401k, there's stocks and Cayman Island stuff on your thing that you don't even know about. It gets handled through the 401k, but I digress. The whole point is that there's plenty of smears all around because of how important the race is. And the craziest smear is what I was saying earlier about this whole black church kerfuffle. First of all, since when do we think that abortion and a lot of the things that Warnock and those that wrote the letter, since when did we think that those things are Christian values? All right, the letter was crazy. They're talking about critical race theory somehow being part of Christianity. And no, by the way, there were 230 pastors, quote unquote pastors, reverends, ministers, or whatever, that had an open letter about that. Okay, so there were more people that signed their name on a thing about supporting critical race theory than there was about this whole attack on the black church kerfuffle with Raphael Warnock. It's pretty crazy. And oh, by the way, I thought that if you are a reverend, a pastor, minister, whatever, you cannot endorse political candidates. I thought that was illegal. You cannot be tax exempt and at the same time support political candidates. But we see that's not really the case. You can do that without doing it directly, because it didn't say vote Warnock, but at the same time, they defended him and made up all kind of lies. They're saying that Kelly Loeffler supports, or she did not speak against the Wolverine Watchman to try to kidnap Whitmer in Michigan, and also that she did not say anything against the Proud Boys, and they characterized the Wolverine Watchmen and the Proud Boys as some kind of far-right extremist group. But since when did the Proud Boys become a far-right group? Okay, they're not white supremacists or anything like that. As a matter of fact, they got on television, got on camera, and denounced white supremacy, racism, or anything like that. Say that on TV. So how are you going to call them a white supremacist group? And Enrique Tarrio, one of the guys that's like the head, if not the leader, is not even white. He's like mixed black and white. I know he's not white at all. I seen him in person, look like one of my uncles. So it doesn't make any sense. And then the Wolverine Watchman, one of the guys got on a social media account and say he doesn't even like Trump. He doesn't like Trump or anybody else. They are an anti-government group. They are an anarchist group. Anarchists don't like government, period. How are you going to call an anarchist group far right? That's an oxymoron. Okay, because inherently they are against government. So you can't say they're you can't say they're like really into the government if they hate government. It doesn't make any sense at all. So it was a bunch of lies that were in that letter trying to characterize Loeffler as the radical, as the extremist, as the crazy person on the right. Then they were trying to say that Loeffler was trying to suppress the black vote because she supported President Trump's appeal to, see what's going on with the election. How does wanting voter integrity line up with wanting to suppress black votes? It doesn't make any sense. So maybe they're on this whole train of if you want voter ID and if you want any kind of security, any kind of protection in the election, then that means that you want to suppress the black vote. That's a big time lie. That whole lie right there is something that the Democratic Party dreamt up to have the door open for voter fraud. It's easy to fraud the election when ain't no voter ID. You could just say, my name is X, Y, and Z. My name is Bigfoot. I'm Mother Teresa. I'm Shao Kahn, Mortal Kombat, and I want to vote. And since there ain't no voter ID, I can just say I'm whoever and then vote. Fraud is easy to do. All right. There's no reason why you can't have voter ID. You got to have ID for everything else. It's not racist to require ID of a voter, period. It's just not reality. Okay. So there were a bunch of things in that letter that say, hey, we are leftists, we're liberal, and that means that if you attack us for being that way, you're attacking the church. We're all in the church and we're all leftists and liberal. This is part of the reason why a lot of black men especially have left the church. If you sign that letter against Loeffler and in favor of Warnock and his, radical behavior and his radical stance, that is not Christianity, that is not righteous, that is pretty wicked. If you sign that letter, then I'm not going to your church. This is part of the reason why I don't go to church. Because you got too many charlatans, too many fakes, too much phoniness within Christianity. And shout out to all the real ones out there, all the real pastors, all the real churches, all the real church goers. Shout out to y'all. It's just too much nonsense out there. It's kind of hard to wade through the mess. Guys talking about abortion is Christian, critical race theory is Christian, Black Lives Matter is Christian. That the letter was accusing Loeffler of attacking the black church and its values and its morals because she's against BLM and Antifa. Violent groups that do nothing but hurt black people. I've seen more black folks shot and killed by BLM and Antifa than I have seen shot, killed by police, especially unjustly. Okay. Unjust, unarmed killings of police are dwarfed by those that have been killed by Black Lives Matter. Young people, little kids, 8-year-old little girls, Sequoia Turner in Atlanta. All right. I think this guy is in Georgia, maybe even in Atlanta, that wrote the letter to begin with. And there's plenty of Atlanta area pastors that signed the letter. So rather than being worried about Kelly Loeffler and trying to interfere with the election, you should be worried about your local community. Worried about them kids that get killed by BLM. Don't support BLM in your letter talking about, oh, this is Christian, this is part of what we do. Nah, this is not an attack on the black church to call Raphael Warnock a radical. He is a radical. I don't care if he's at MLK's old church, Ebenezer Baptist. It's irrelevant. The fact that he's there at Ebenezer Baptist and the fact that he had 100 pastors to come out and support him lets me know that the black church been dead for a long time. Okay, it's been dead. I've known that for a while, but by seeing that letter just kind of confirms what I've already known to be true for a very long time. I've known that. I think everybody knows that at this particular point in time. You can't hide it anymore. This is just the reality of what's going on. So shout out to them for exposing themselves, for letting me know I'm not crazy. I'm not the crazy one by acknowledging what's happening with them. Okay, I see it. I saw it coming a mile away that this would be kind of like the direction that they go in as far as the black church. Okay, people that are there right now in the black church, women and children. You might have some gay men that are in the music ministry, maybe just in the church, just chilling out. Nothing against somebody that's gay, but heterosexual black men, forward-thinking black men, they got wives and kids. They don't want to do a church anymore because their wife is listening to the preaching man, not listening to them. It's just a mess. People are moving away from liberalism, away from the phoniness. Some of these black church, and some church in general is kind of gone this way. Some of the Hillsong stuff, but I won't go down that road, so I digress. My whole point is that this letter was ridiculous. It was silly. It was false. Loeffler is good people. Raphael Warnock might be a good person, but I can't tell if he is through his sermon, through his messaging. I'm seeing somebody that is not a guy that I want to vote for, let alone go to their church. And what say you? Do you think that Raphael Warnock is being attacked because he's black and he's a pastor? And is Loeffler attacking the black church through Raphael Warnock? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Or is that just all false? Is Loeffler simply running a race against her political opponent? Okay, that's what it's all about. You got Loeffler trying to be the senator, and that's Raphael Warnock. There's going to be a tax levy back and forth, a lot of, ads and whatnot. This is what it's going to be. It is what it is. It ain't nothing else. No religious stuff is going on. That's where I stand, and you guys pretty much know what time it is. You know where I think this whole thing is going. It's about just trying to get some votes. It's about that outside money, trying to influence it. I would not be surprised if these guys sign a letter that is in favor of Warnock and also in favor of critical race theory. If they got a big, donation, a big endowment, a big blessing or something like that from the outside, California, New York, or whatever, I wouldn't be surprised at all. If that came out in the wash years later, I'd be like, yep, makes sense. They spending all this money on this election. Some of it may trickle down, quote unquote, to some of these guys that signed that letter trying to attack Loeffler and defend Raphael Warnock. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.